So there's no there's no truth, right, that you're actually going to switch parties, because I know Trump has offered you.
But it's not going to. It's like, I'm a committed Democrat, even though if I vote 93% of the time.
With the Democrats.
I thought we were supposed to be a big tent party. So I'm not really sure how I become an issue for any of the Democrats, just having some different views in these other issues.
A big tent party? Yeah, right. Maybe that's how it should be. But that's clearly not how these lefties play. You become a problem in the Democratic Party if you have even one different opinion. Trust me, I know these people are relentless. You would think the whole point of a big tent party is to make room for different viewpoints. But nope. Not with these people. Let's be honest. Today's Democrats don't seem interested in doing that at all. The second, and I mean the second, somebody agrees with conservatives on anything, they get treated like the enemy almost immediately. Here is Fetterman explaining to Bill Maher how their party has been losing its grip on the American voter because of their anti-Trump obsession. Take a look.
And my colleagues and people that are running, whether for the Senate or the House, they are literally running on Trump. I mean, that's literally, they have campaign commercials with that, and it's absurd. And we are getting to that point, and I refuse to engage in that extreme, those terms. We have to find a better way forward, and now I've been punished to try to find value in certain views. Now, like for the ballroom, we've talked about that. I don't care about the ballroom.
I don't either.
Yeah, I mean, it's like
so stupid. It's a Rorschach test of whether you just hate.
Yeah.
Because first of all, like we saw with the assassination attempt a couple of weeks ago, America probably does need, you know what the problem is? It's the word, ballroom. It sounds ballroom. Sounds like, fops are pirouetting around. And it's just, if they called it the State Dinner National Center, it would be different. But this is America. And we don't want people sitting in tents to have dinner. I mean, it's
we've lost the vote. You talk to any of the traditional union members that are men, we've lost them a long time ago. I've witnessed that migration away from the Democratic Party starting back in 2016. We absolutely have a problem in that part of the demographic. So we really have to find a way to bring them back and make better arguments without blaming them or describing they are the problem.
John Fetterman is absolutely right. Democrats have been losing working class men and traditional union voters for years, and pretending otherwise only made their problem worse, way worse. I mean, do they ever ask themselves why so many of their voters walked away in the first place? Maybe it was the part where people were constantly being told their concerns were somehow wrong. I mean, blaming voters is not a winning strategy. If millions of people leave your side, shouldn't the first response be self-reflection instead of assuming they are the problem?
You're thinking about sitting out or even supporting somebody who has a history of denigrating you? Because you think that's a sign of strength? Because that's what being a man is? Putting women down? That's not acceptable.
Not acceptable? Why do these people constantly belittle their own voters? It's crazy. I mean, what kind of message are these people actually sending? It almost feels like they don't want people thinking for themselves, and instead just rely on fear-mongering and anti-Trump outrage over and over again. But voters lived through Biden and Kamala's leadership. They saw the economy, inflation, and everyday struggles for themselves.
When people are calling you, and specifically black people, what are they saying they feel they have not gotten out of having voted consistently for Democrats and for Joe Biden?
Upward mobility. Simple as that. Like, people want security, and a lot of that security is financial. Like, it's simple and plain. And it's been, whether it was President Obama, whether it was, all the way back to Clinton to now Joe Biden, they feel like the Democratic Party has never promised that. And it's like right now the problem I'm having with my listeners, what am I supposed to tell them? Like, what am I supposed to tell them other than, look, man, Donald Trump is a fascist. You may think things can't get worse, but they absolutely positively can. But if they feel like, I've already lived through a Trump presidency. I lived through Reagan. How much worse can that get? Like, what do I tell them? They're not afraid of just telling them to go out and vote because of fear anymore.
Well, try telling them the truth, because the anti-Trump obsession didn't work back then, and clearly it's not working now. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, voters are not stupid. People know when they're being ignored. A lot of working class Americans felt like every conversation became about every other group under the sun, while their struggles kept getting pushed to the side. We're talking rising bills, inflation, jobs, and every single community but theirs, while their concerns were treated like an inconvenience. At some point, people stopped listening to slogans and started voting based on who they thought was actually paying attention to the everyday person. Fetterman is absolutely right. They are never going to win with that same old approach. At some point, a party has to stop blaming voters and start asking why people stop listening in the first place. You can't keep running on outrage, fear, and the other side is evil while ignoring the issue people deal with every single day. Working class voters want to hear about jobs, prices, safety, wages, and whether life is actually improving. If the message never changes and the response to criticism is always blame or insult Trump, then eventually people tune it out and look elsewhere for answers. These Dems are absolutely, and I mean absolutely, delusional. Honestly, at this point, I think Fetterman should just switch parties. I'm pretty sure we would welcome him in with open arms. I mean, the man sounds like somebody willing to use common sense and actually speak honestly about what's happening instead of pretending everything is fine. We can use good men like that who actually think about and care for the working class voter, the union voter, and most importantly, regular Americans who feel ignored. He doesn't deserve to have his own party attacking him over having common sense. I personally believe that if someone gets punished for being reasonable, maybe the problem isn't the person. Maybe it's the environment around them. Period.